a year on. Now, of course, we reflect on that. We are joined by Human Settlements Portfolio Committee Chairperson, Mr. Albert Seabi. Mr. Seabi, good evening to you. Thank you so much for joining us. I think top of mind, it's been a year. You listened to our reporter there speaking to one of the workers who lost an arm and a leg, their arm amputated while still stuck in the rubble. A year later, has there been justice in your view for those workers?
Good evening to you and your viewers. Definitely, in terms of my view, there's been no justice because the case is not yet closed. The law institutions, for example, SAPS, they are still doing their own investigation. And the contractor who caused all the mess has not as yet been criminally charged. Therefore, the people will not have received justice until the perpetrator, the contractor, has been criminally charged, so that everybody can know what caused this crisis, what caused this calamity, because until then, nobody will feel the case is closed.
I mean, I'm keen to hear what, as a portfolio committee, you think are the lessons that certainly should have been learned over the past year on competencies in the sector, where you've got, for instance, the Human Settlements Minister who made the point that investigations also found that the technical manager did not have the necessary competencies, and the municipality also approving plans while construction had already taken place.
Yes, this is the report that the minister gave us as a portfolio committee. And 2 weeks ago, we had a session with NHBRC where there were lapses. And we met with the chairperson of the board and the management of NHBRC. And we really emphasized that we want to see disciplinary processes taking place, because that is a serious anomaly. But at the same time, we said we need to review the policies of NHBRC so that it is known who's supposed to do what. For example, in terms of the report the minister gave us, somebody inside used somebody's code to approve certain things. So such kind of lapses cannot be accommodated, cannot be tolerated. So the chairperson of the council, which was just been appointed, promised that indeed they are going to work on their internal processes, and they will be able to make sure that in terms of their systems are tightened, not to allow such a thing to happen again. In the next month, in terms of our parliamentary program, it is the intention of our portfolio committee to visit George Municipality, and together with them, we will be visiting the site of the collapse. And we want to understand why these things happened, why the builder started building without an approval, while when the builder said he will build a single-story house, ultimately it's a multi-story house in front of their eyes, in front of their area, and they are unable to pick it, and be able to correct it together with the builder. Those are the questions we're going to ask from the municipality in order to get answers. Next week, we're having a meeting with the minister as a portfolio committee, where she'll report in to us about the issue of lifestyle audit, especially for inspectors of NHBRC, because we believe somewhere fraudulent activities have taken place. Possibly our inspectors were receiving bribes to approve things, even if they are not in line with the built environment.
Yeah, unfortunately, if inspectors are receiving bribes, and then you've got officials not, doing the due diligence and registering developments within the National Home Builders Regulatory Council, you have a lot of rot. And there's a question of how you really get to the root of that, and that's going to be a long process where you might very well have similar cases in the future. That's quite concerning. But I want to raise this as well. You heard I reported there speaking to one survivor, Shadrach Maine. In a case like his, for instance, losing 2 limbs, making it, I can imagine, incredibly difficult then to be able to find work. What then about compensation? Who needs to step up for the compensation of the livelihoods of these workers?
Why these buildings needs to be registered by the contractor? One of the reasons is to make sure that they're covered in terms of insurance. And those are some of the issues that we'll raise when we meet with the minister in HPRC, like I said, as to, in terms of their systems, in terms of their processes, what is it that must happen? We'll also want to know from the George municipality that if such a thing has happened, because it might be the first thing that has happened after a long time, is an experience, what should be the way forward, so that people, if there's a need to compensate them, they are really compensated. We will also check with the security agencies, especially SAPS, as to how far are they with their investigations, and try to plead with them to fast-track their investigations, because some of these things, like compensation, may not happen until you have a final report, especially from the South African Police Services.
Yep.
So those are the things we're following up, and we hope to get answers.
Yeah, well, we really appreciate your time. Thank you so much for speaking to us, Mr. Albert Seabi, the chairperson of the Portfolio Committee on Human Settlements, as we commemorate and reflect on what is a year since the George building collapse, a story that shocked the nation.